first of all, I would like to thank all the attendees and also the panelists that will be presenting today, especially to Mark Carter, IAFP President, and Renata Cerqueira, the Director of Food Safety, Quality, and Regulatory for Cargill Latin America. Besides them, we will have also myself talking about the Brazilian affiliate, Joseph talking about the Africa Continental affiliate, and Karen talking about the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. Last but not least, I would like to recognize the importance of Professor Karen from University of Rio de Janeiro. She was the one who approached me during the IAFP Latino with a lot of good ideas about collaboration, include this webinar series focusing on the African continent, because she is already working in some extension project in the African continent, especially in Ivory Coast. And after that conversation, I took this topic to the IAFP Affiliate Council meeting, where the African affiliates showed interest in joining the collaboration, not only join, but expanding the collaboration to other fields of work. So to inaugurate this collaboration, we are pleased to host today's webinar about mycotoxin control in cashew nuts chain. So today, our agenda will be an opening from Mark Carter. He will be welcoming everybody. Then I will pass the words to Joseph. Joseph will make a presentation about the African affiliate. Then myself will present about the Brazilian affiliate. Karen will close the opening, and then Renata will lead the scientific discussion today, okay? So I will pass the word to Mark. Please, Mark, thanks for your participation.
Well, thank you, Kyle. It's always fun for me to talk to anyone involved with IAFP, but especially the programs that are put on by our affiliates. I often say at many of my talks that the affiliates are the lifeblood of IAFP. So again, thank you for being here. I want to welcome you. As you know, we're coming up on our meeting in Cleveland, so hopefully we'll be able to see some of you there at the end of July. But the main thing that I'd like to stress is that IAFP is strong. We continue to grow. We have, a mission to make sure that we continue to become a global organization. We want to make sure that we're inclusive of all thought, all food chains, all science, and everything that goes with it. So we want people globally to feel like this is a home for their food science, food safety, food security issues, and all sciences are welcome. We're trying to build an organization where toxicology, as well as microbiology and chemistry, play a significant role in looking at the food supply and making sure that that food is safe and palatable to eat. As a microbiologist, at times we look, and I think we look at very acute instances of how microorganisms affect people. But I've worked in the industry for a long time, and I know that especially with this webinar, you look at things like mycotoxins, which have a much more chronic and long-term effect on people. So they're an issue in all parts of the world, but especially where we see some of the grain products and other things, and import-export issues. But IAFP very much welcomes you. We want to make sure that you have a place to talk science, make friends, and create good working relationships that you can leverage later on. So both to the Brazilian and the Brazilian affiliate and the African affiliates, I'm happy to see this happen. I mean, this is exactly what this is all about. So with that, I'll say again, welcome, and please enjoy the webinar.
Thanks, Mark. And I will pass it to Joseph. Feel free to share your screen, Joseph.
Okay. I'm going to try and share my screen now. Just a minute here. As I said, this is the first time I'm using this, so I will share my screen. Okay, share. Okay, entire screen. Okay, window. Can you see the screen yet?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, let me try something else here. Of course, when I do that, I don't see anything. So that's why I've done the Zoom one, but this one is a little bit different. So I've also shared the audio, entire screen. And
you should be able to hit the present now button at the very bottom, Joseph.
Okay.
Right next to the little face emoji, hit present now and it should walk you through.
Oh, okay. So the present now, is that the other one on the far side?
Yeah, it's hit present now.
Chat everyone. Okay, just a minute. I'm sorry for this meeting. Oh, that emoji. Oh, that emoji.
No, so hit the little arrow that points up next to it that says present now, and that should let you you present your screen.
Okay.
And then you can choose if you want to share the whole screen.
Yeah, maybe you put it in there now. I'm trying to see the emoji. No, I need to cancel that. That's not what that is. Okay. So when I say share screen, it doesn't work. Then
it should. You have to pick one of the. You have to pick either a tab.
Okay.
Or a window. So click window if you want to click a window, then and then click select your presentation.
Okay. All right. So that do. Okay. I'm gonna pick window.
Right.
And yes. Okay.
You should see your presentation.
A lot of windows here, so it didn't show my presentation.
Yeah, you have to find your presentation and then click that as the window that you want.
Yeah, I wonder, Keo, will you be able to set it up for me there? Do you have it?
Can you resend me your presentation? I can present to you because I'm not finding it here.
Okay. You want me to resend the presentation to you? I can do that in a minute if I can. Okay. Just a minute here.
Can I share for him?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you send it to Kayo. I'm not.
Oh, yes. I sent it to Kayo and.
But I'm not finding it here. For some reason, I cannot find it. I see the last email that I received for you was your headshot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's resent now.
Okay. Have not received yet. What about if
not yet? My apology
yet.
Here. Mm-hmm. That's Kayo Caesar.
One option, I could do the presentation about the Brazilian affiliate.
You go ahead. You go ahead while I figure this out.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you go ahead. Yes. Okay. That's Renata. I send it to Renata here. Kayo. Yeah, you go ahead and do your presentation, then I figured it out. Yeah. Okay.
Just let me know if you see my screen.
We can see, Kyle.
Okay. So while I receive just a presentation, I will go ahead and do my presentation. So my name is Caio Carvalho. I'm working with Cargill. In Cargill, I'm in charge of the microbiology and food safety support department. And besides my role in Cargill, I'm also part of the Brazilian Association for Food Protection, the BRAFP, and also the International Association for Food Protection. In both associations, I had the opportunity to serve in the board. So I'm currently the vice president for the Brazilian Association and the affiliate chairperson for the International Association for Food Protection. Just giving you an overview about Cargill, the company that I work for, and also I would like to thank Cargill for allowing me to participate in this webinar and also give me all the resources that I need to be active in the organization. So Cargill is a company of more than 160,000 employees that operates in over 70 countries and has more than 159 years old. So it's a company that has been working in the food industry almost 2 centuries. Currently, Cargill is made of 3 main business units. The first one is the food business, where we provide to manufacturers, food service customers, retailers, and consumers protein products and a range of ingredients and solutions. We also have the agriculture and trading business where Renata is the lead for food safety and microbiology and regulatory. In the agri and trade business, we connect farmers and users of grains and oilseeds through sorting, processing, and distribution while providing trading and risk management solutions. And we also have the specialized portfolio made of animal nutrition and health, bioindustrial, bioenergy, salt, and cargo joint ventures. So it's a very complex organization that operates in...
Sorry, just to let you know that we're still seeing your first part, okay? We're not seeing the other one, so maybe just for you to be aware what's going on.
Okay, so just let me try it again here.
Now we can see a second one. Here we go.
Oh.
Oh, not anymore, Caio.
Hold on. Just let me know if you're seeing now.
We can see now. Yeah.
Okay, now that I changed the slides, you see, right?
Yeah, we can see. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we were talking about the 3 different businesses that Cargill operates. So it's a complex organization that covers pretty much the entire food production supply chain, from the grain production until the ready-to-eat products. When it comes to my field of work, the Micro and Food Safety Support Department, I will divide it in 3 main groups. The first one is the food safety category, where we support the business when it comes to HACCP, food fraud and food defense procedures, environmental monitoring program, and also trainings related to food safety and microbiology. On the microbiology category, we are the ones in charge of approval, governance of the external and internal labs. We also define the microbiological specification for the finished product. We define the sampling plans, and also we are the ones in charge of the validation. It can be aseptic filling validation, thermal process validation, all kinds of validations related to microbiology. And last, it was an expansion of the scope. Now we also support the business in hygiene design. So we are in charge of the zoning program of Cargill, the project and assessment for projects, and also cleaning and sanitation validation. So it's a very wide scope, and we do our best to provide the plants with the best support available. Now, when it comes to the Brazilian Association for Food Protection, it's a non-profit association, and we use science and education as a link between academy, industry, and regulatory agencies. We were founded in March of 2002. Our current board is made of Professor Luiz Nero from the University of Viçosa is our president. I am currently the vice president. The past presidents, they play a very active role in guiding and advising the association. So our 2 past presidents are Ivone De Lazari, scientific advisor, and Marisa Landgraf from the University of São Paulo. Our secretary is the Professor Luciano Bessot from University of Paraná, Palotina campus. Our treasurer, the Professor Bernadette Franco from University of São Paulo. And we also have our staff, Isabel Bossi and Christy Coelho. Without them, wouldn't be possible to run the association in the daily routine. So a big thanks for our staff. Here we have our 2 sponsors. It's Niogen and Hygiena. like I said, the Brazilian Association is an affiliate from the International Association for Food Protection. So our goal is aligned with the IAFP goals, is to promote the discussion, training, and cooperation in food safety and quality. We do this by organizing meetings, workshops, and scientific events. Last year, I would like to highlight the IAFP Latino that we organized in Santos here in Brazil. It was a great event with more than 650 attendees. And this year, our attention is in the Food Micro Latino. It's the first time that the Food Micro will have the Latino meeting. The theme is sustainability and food safety. It will take place in Aracaju, Brazil in October. And the deadline for submission of works and abstracts is in the end of June. So we still have 1 month for receiving works and abstracts. And also the members from the Brazilian Association will have a discount in the registration. So I would like to encourage you to register for this great event. It's be the first time that Food Micro is going outside the Europe and here in Latin America. So last, this is the QR code that you can access the Instagram from the Brazilian Association. There you can keep updated with all the events that the association is organizing. And I also encourage you to follow the YouTube channel from the Brazilian Association and also from the Africa Continental Association. There you can also keep up to date to our work and all the news regarding the both affiliations. So that's the presentation that I prepared today. And now I will try to share Joseph's presentation.
Yeah, my apology for that. It looks like when I put it on before, there was no opportunity to share, so that's why.
Okay, so do you want to try to share it now?
I'm going to try and see if it works.
Sounds good.
It looks like you have it. It looks like you have it, so just go ahead and share it.
Okay, I will share it.
Because it looks like somebody else is sharing, so. Yeah, okay, that's it.
Okay. So just let me know when I need to change the slide.
Yeah, it's in the presentation mode right now. I think it is.
Yes,
so can everyone see it? Okay, great. So my apology for that. So good morning, everyone. I'm Joseph Odumeru, the president of the African Continental Association of Food Protection, an affiliate of IAFP. So this morning, I would like to provide a brief overview of the association, especially for those of you that are not familiar with what African Continental Association of Food Protection is all about. So what I try to do is provide information on its vision, mission, goals and objectives required to achieve our vision and mission, and also provide a brief highlights of our accomplishments to date. So on this slide, starting from this slide, as you can see, ACAFP is an affiliate of IAFP since 2013. The association represents members from industry, government, international organizations, research, and academia, and also individuals involved in food value chain that are interested in protecting food safety supply in Africa. So currently we have 404 members in the association from several countries. We have members from Africa, USA, Canada, and Britain. So we go to the next slide. So this slide essentially shows the 12 board members that representing with representation from various countries. So we have representation from the USA, Canada, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Gambia. And our goal is to continue to diversify our membership because we really believe that in the board, we should have representation from various countries in Africa, and we are achieving that. So, and as you can see here, these are the names of the board members, including their portfolio. So in the next slide is our vision. Our vision is to secure safe foods for Africans and consumers of food produced in Africa and the African continent. And the association mission is to be agent of change in Africa with respect to food safety, promoting production, storage, distribution, and consumption of food regionally and internationally. So in order to achieve this mission and vision, which is on the next slide, we have 5 goals that are listed there. The first goal is to provide a forum for African professionals in the area of food safety and quality by hosting conferences, webinars, just like this, workshop, sessions on food safety in Africa. And we've done a lot of those. And I will provide a few highlights of some of those things that we have done to achieve this goal. The second goal is to assist our members on their professional career development. And also the third goal is to disseminate information regarding the protection of food supply in the continent of Africa. And of course, the fourth goal is to promote sanitary methods and procedure for development of production, processing, distribution, and preparation and serving of food by hosting educational sessions. So the key is really, it's about education. It's providing information for the food processors, food producers about food safety. And of course, our last goal there, which is the fifth one, is to establish cooperation, because we cannot do all of this without collaboration and cooperation with many parties. And this includes African governments and also partnering with other professional groups such as Food and Agriculture Organization, African Union Commission, to improve and promote food production and safe foods and trade in the continent of Africa. So there are a lot of collaboration here. So we made a significant progress in the area of partnership and collaboration. And an example, we continue to look for additional partnership. Recently, we are partnering with the Brazilian Association of Food Protection on having joint webinars and education such as the one we're having today. So in the next slide, provide some of the highlights of some of our achievements to date. And I just thought I'd pick a few of these. The first one is regarding food safety conferences. So to date, we have held 2 conferences on food safety in Africa. The first one was held virtually during the pandemic from November 10 to 11, 2021. It was virtual because there was no opportunity to have in-person conference at that time. So we have 210 registered delegates that attended the meeting. The second conference was held in Ghana. That was December 12 to 14. This is an in-person conference. That was 2023, and we have 120 delegates attending. So in terms of partnership and sponsors, the first conference was sponsored by IAFP and also Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO. And the second conference was sponsored by African Union Commission, Cargill Ghana Limited, GB Foods, Volti Ghana Limited, Joy Business. So we have a lot of food industry from Ghana that supported that. As I indicated before, we formed new partnership with the Brazilian Association of Food Protection. And the idea of this partnership is to host educational sessions and explore partnership and collaboration on food safety projects in Africa. So regarding awards, the association have won 2 awards. One is the Affiliate Membership Achievement Award in 2022. And the second one is CB Shugran Memorial Award that was presented last year in 2024 in Long Beach, California. In terms of membership, as I said before, we have 404 members. So we made a significant progress in increasing our membership. So the next slide is going to the next food safety conference that we are planning for. We are currently making all the arrangements for this. This is going to be held on November 25th to 27th, 2025, and this is in Nigeria at Ogiri Resort, Ogiri Remo, Ogun State. So we are preparing for that, and we are asking if any of you knows about potential sponsors, either from the food industry, for other areas, please let us know about this. So the theme of the conference is to enhance food safety systems for improved public health, trade and competitiveness, and economic growth in Africa. There are 7 sub-teams, and then of course the call for abstract went out on April 14, and they were hoping to wrap up the submission by August. So the next slide, and I'm not going to go through everything about the next slide, which are some of the reasons why you should become an AFP member. And what I really want to highlight is that the association provides opportunity for professional development in food safety by providing educational sessions through webinars, conferences, specifically for food safety in Africa. So there are a lot of reasons to be a member. So if you're not already a member, I will encourage you to join as a member. Now, the last slide there, or this next slide, It's really about the various websites and links that has all the additional information that I will encourage all of you to take a look at if you are not already done so. And if you look at the membership fee, it's $25 for professional members, and then $10 for students. So this is a bargain. So we make it low to encourage memberships, because it's all what it's all about. It's about promoting food safety in Africa, not about really making money, but to encourage people to apply. So with that, I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to provide information about ACAFP. So with that, I pass it on back to you, Kyle. Thank you very much for projecting that.
Thanks, Joseph, for your presentation. And now I'll pass it to Karen. It will be our last opening act, and then Renata will lead our webinar.
So first, I must say that I'm very, very happy. And thank you, Kyle, and all. Welcome. And it's a great pleasure to start this project between IAFP and the Brazilian affiliated and the African countries affiliated. It's an honor for the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro to be part of this. I hope this webinar will be the first of many activities together. So enjoy and thank you very much.
Thanks, Karen. Now, Renata, the floor is all yours.
So thank you very much. I'm gonna share my window. So let me know if you can see Kyle. And just help me that's gonna move.
Yeah, I see.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So first of all, I'd like to thank Caio, so the Brazilian affiliate, and also IAFP to give the opportunity, and also the African continental affiliate, because it's really nice, because I'd like to share curiosity. Karen, she used to be my professor, so she's the inspiration that for me, food safety and quality. So of course she's still young, okay, but she was my professor in the specialization, and with the passion that she taught me about food safety and quality, so that inspires me every day to continue, because it is a big journey. So thanks, Karen, for being that professor to inspire us to be better every day. So thanks for that. And now this opportunity to be here to share some knowledge, because for me it was a really great opportunity for learning more African legislation. So thanks a lot for having me here. So it's really an honor, and I'm very happy, and I hope that is just one of the many activities that we're going to do together, because Brazil and Africa, we have a lot in common. So I think it's really great, this synergy and opportunity. Okay, so thanks again, and special thanks for all the Brazilian and African affiliates in IAFP and the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. Okay, so now I'm gonna share about mycotoxin control and cashew nuts chain. Okay, so first of all, I just would like to share a little bit.
Put your slide in slideshow mode. Thank you.
I'm sorry?
Let your slide be on slideshow mode.
Okay, so it's not in the
No.
slideshow. Okay,
No.
so thank you for that. Let me know if now is in the slideshow. Is better?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet. Okay, so let me know what's going on.
I was present in the whole screen, so it worked for me. I don't know if you're present only the window or the whole screen.
Yeah, it's the window, Caio. So should I
Okay.
go back?
Yeah,
The-
I tried the whole screen.
Okay, so let me do that again. So it's entire screen, right? So then they can see. Okay. Let me know if now it's working.
Yes, now it's working.
Perfect.
Okay,
Perfect.
thanks, Caio, for the tip. Okay, so now is just to share a little bit who I am. Okay, so my graduation is pharmacy, so I am a pharmacist. I have a second graduation in pedagogy, okay, to have been able to learn how to teach better. I'm also a professor, so I also teach food safety and quality. I did a master in food toxicology, and also I'm still a PhD student in food science, and I've been working with quality in food safety and regulatory for 30 years, okay, since the high school. So it's again a privilege to work on food safety and quality and regulatory. So now, what means cashew nuts? Okay, so the definition here is just to give you some idea. So it's an edible kidney-shaped nut. You can see here. I'm going to use the pointer. Let me check. Pointer options, laser. So you can see here that is the edible kidney-shaped nut. Is very rich in oil and protein, and which is roasted and shared before it can be eaten. Okay, it's a bush tropical American tree, and also is related to the mango and cashew. As we're going to see today, is a considerable economic important because there's innumerous uses. What I would like to call your attention, because it's really connected, what I'm going to share with the codex, is the terminology that is used as tree nut. Okay, tree nut is commonly used to refer not only for cashew nuts, but also to diverse or dry fruits, include almonds, pecans, walnuts, cashews, pistachios, Brazil nuts, hazelnuts, and macadamia. Okay, so this is important for you to keep in mind, because we're going to see later in the presentation about a code of practice in codex that is the tree nut. Okay, so it's important for you to be aware about that. So what is cashews about, right? Why people eat cashews? It's very frequent used in some diets. Why? Because there is a lot of lower risk of coronary heart disease. What is really, really interesting, that can reduce high triglyceride levels. So we have a great amount of copper, manganese, zinc, magnesium. Is very rich in the antioxidants, help elimination of free radicals. There's also phosphorus. So it's really, really great, because there are 8% of fat in cashews that is unsaturated fat acids. So this is really great. Why a nutritionist, when we are on a diet or when we want to have a healthy life, we consume cashews. What is also interesting is that this species is originally native in the northeast of Brazil. So just to give you some idea what comes to Brazil, right? We have the Portuguese colonists in Brazil began exporting cashew nuts in early 1550s, so really long time ago. Okay, so it's really great for you to know why we consume cashews. All right, so where we can find cashew nuts? So we have grow in several countries. So of course the majority is warm countries as India, Vietnam, Brazil, Indonesia, Tanzania, Kenya, Mozambique, Benin, Nigeria, Ivory Coast. So of course it's consumed all around the world. And what is interesting, I'm going to share some numbers, that is the consumption is high everywhere. Okay, so what we have the application, what is the flexibility that we have with cashew nuts? We have we can use as snacks, we can use as food ingredient, we use as powder, butters, oils, milk, cheese, yogurt, medicines, skin creams, and also what is interesting, in the shell we can use as oil and biofuel. So a lot of uses and applications for cashew nuts. Now, what I would like to share is the numbers. Okay, so I used this website. So if you're interested in more commodities, you can have the Observatory of Economic Complexity. So here you can see, so what I could find is the 2023, okay, numbers also for exports and also for imports. So if you see only exports, I took the number. So today we have the number about around $7 billion on the exports. Okay. So here we can see Vietnam, number one. So is the country that we have more exports. Then the second one is the Ivory Coast. Okay, so that would be the second one. And the third one is Nigeria. So you can see, but of course, Ghana is really close. We have India. And what surprised me is Brazil, that you can see here. It's just, let me check, where is Brazil? Wow, here we go. It's really here on the amount only on $70,000. So this is really surprised me. So that is with a great exercise. On the other hand, we have the imports. So we also have Vietnam is the number one. And then we have India as a second one. And then we have US, okay, and the third one. So this is, I think, really great for us to be aware. Of course, the consumptions is everywhere, but you can see good numbers. So that's the importance of cashew nuts in the globe. So now mycotoxins. So I would like to share that the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO, reported that 25 of foodstuffs available worldwide are contaminated with mycotoxins. So this is really concerning. It's a concerning issue because we have aflatoxins identified as the most toxic. I think Mark mentioned earlier in the presentation that mycotoxins is not acute. Okay, we're going to see the damage over time, but it's really important for us to take that in consideration when we are in our roles in the food safety and quality, to what we can do to prevent, right? In all the fields, in the agriculture, in the processing, in the storage. So we need to be focused on that, on the prevention and how we can mitigate. So we see here how the name mycotoxin, so it's caused by a fungus, and it is a natural produced poison. So mycotoxins are occurring, producing by certain molds or fungi that we can found in food and feed. So what means in a little bit more in a deep side mycotoxins? So for us to avoid the mycotoxin growth, we need to control molds. Wherever we have molds, we're going to have mycotoxins. So we have a variety of different crops and foodstuffs that we can have mycotoxins as cereals, nuts, spice, dried fruits, apples, and coffee beans, offer under warm and humid conditions. This is really important because this is one of the similarities that we have between African countries and Brazil. In the majority of our weather is warm and humidity. That is the perfect for molds growth. That's one of the main reasons that we have the contamination. Also, mycotoxins can cause a variety of diverse effects on a serious health threat to both humans and livestock. This is really important to highlight that we have a very challenging in mycotoxins in the feed business, because we can cause acute effects, not like in humans that is chronic, but in animals we can have acute, so we can have death. So this is one of the, when we started, all the history with mycotoxins was caused by an incident with feed. Okay, so this is really important for us to take this in consideration for our food and feed. So for humans, the adverse health effects is, of course, we can have several, but it is a long-term effects. And one of the most challenging is cancer and also immune deficiency. Okay, so this is the general effects that we can have long-term. So now, what is really great for us to take this advantage is to understand, okay, what are the factors that can impact mycotoxin growth? So we can have here, so the general is, okay, the species, the varieties, and the cultivar could be one of the source. The other source is environmental factors, as we discussed previously on the worm. Also processing parameters. We can have, if we don't control our process, we can have high levels. We can also make worst case scenario. So then we put here tree nuts because cashew is one of the tree nuts as we see previously. So, okay, we also talked about aflatoxins. So aflatoxin is produced by Aspergillus species. And what is important to have that condition to this Aspergillus to produce is hot humidity climates. Okay, so this is the preference for this Aspergillus. So we have Aspergillus flavus, we have also Aspergillus parasiticus, cannot grow or produce in water activities less than 0.7. So this is really important for us to take that in consideration. Why? Because if we dry, that's one of the actions that we can take in the food chain, so then we can reduce the risk. Also, the relatively humidity below 70% and the temperatures below 10 degrees Celsius. So keep this in mind for us as mitigation steps. Also, mycotoxins is created or is produced under stress conditions. So you can see, for instance, when you have, rain more or less rain, so then we can have in the crops more incidence of mycotoxins. Also, insect infestation, we can have also aflatoxin contamination is likely to be high. Of course, we can see the climate changes is also making this worse in several countries. So we have now increasing the occurrence of mycotoxins in the globe. Also, as I mentioned before, improper storage condition can also lead to aflatoxin contamination after crops. So this is one of the important actions that we can take place in storage condition using good storage conditions. So then we have also hot humidity conditions to lead the mold growth on stored food. So we can have high levels of aflatoxin. So just to bring some history for the folks that like about some history, this is the picture in the Peter Bruegel. So this is Europe, okay? So this is a terminology called mycotoxicosis. So mycotoxicosis is a disease syndrome from the result of ingestion of mycotoxins. We're not talking about aflatoxin here, we're talking about a different fungus that is claviceps. So this is the first mention that we've seen in the history about this incident that was probably by ergot, that is produced by this fungal, that claviceps, and is described before Christ. And this is what caused in this painting, just to share that on that occasion, there are several people blind, and then was caused by this ergot. Okay, so this is important for us to understand how important to take this, because of course the ingestion on that time is more focused on cereals. So that's the reason that we had this more in acute. So what we can have, mycotoxins, we can have a contamination in food commodities. We can also contaminate our feed, and then we can have the mycotoxicosis in acute, not only from permanent. So what here is just some pictures from the producers for the mycotoxins. So Aspergillus is one of them, penicillium is the other one, and we have Fusarium. Okay, so this is the main node. Of course, you can have hundreds of mycotoxins. It is not everything. Just to here is the main mycotoxins and the fungus. So just to give an idea, what is the main mycotoxins that we have? So this is the fungus. Okay, we can see Aspergillus here. Of course, there's several types of Aspergillus. We have different types of Penicillium and Fusarium. So just to give another about how many aflatoxins we have. Aflatoxins B1 and B2, this is the most, let's say, challenging, and we have the most toxicological effects, but also we have G1 and G2. So normally when we see in the measurements, we say total aflatoxins. What means total aflatoxins? Is the sum between B1, B2, G1, and G2. Okay, just to give you an idea when you're evaluating methods or when you are evaluating results. So where we can see the aflatoxins, we can see in nuts, as we are discussing today. Maize is one of the sources that I study a lot. So we have incidence in the different regions. Also spices, we have grains is one of them. Dried fruits, ochratoxin A is really, of course, Brazil is one of the main producers of coffee, so we have identification for ochratoxin A as well. In cereals, we have also barley, wheat, and rye. We have patcholine for apples and apple juice, fumonizins. So in my PhD, I studied fumonizin, B1 and B2, so in maize. And then we have DOM and zearalenone in wheat, barley, and maize. Okay, give the perspective. Again, here is just the main ones. We have more than 400 types of different mycotoxins, and also we have emerging mycotoxins coming that we didn't identified previously. So now aflatoxins. Aflatoxins is produced by Aspergillus. The first identification is in 1961. Aflatoxin is identified in animal feed contaminated by Aspergillus parasiticus. So this is the event that I mentioned previously. It was happening in Europe with Turkey. So it was a really, really big incident that was caused by aflatoxin. So aflatoxins, we have at least 17 compounds defined as aflatoxin. As I mentioned, there is the sum that we call total aflatoxin, that is B1, B2, G1, and G2. We have also M1 that is also coming from milk. That is the ingestion when we have from cows on, and this is really a challenging on anyone. And what is important, I just give here, maybe for some of you, we are not so familiar, we have the IARC. It is a classification globally. And we can see here types of classification, because maybe for some of you could be new. Aflatoxin B1 is classified as 1. So you can see here that is carcinogenic to humans. Why I brought this table? Because some of different mycotoxins could have different classification. For A2, as an example, is probably carcinogenic. We have B2 that is possibly carcinogenic. We have 3 carcinogenic, not classifiable, and then probably not carcinogenic. You know that on the toxicological studies, we have this classification based on evidence, on science. That's the reason you can see, okay, here is proved, we know there is 1, but when we have some evidence, but there's still some challenges on understanding, then we have, as probably you can see here, as we have some asteroids, we have some other products that is classified as B2. This is really important when we are studying toxicology to understand what is the chronic effects over time. So now, aflatoxins in cashew nuts. So cashew nuts can be vulnerable in several parts of the process. We can have in the pre-harvest, post-harvest. Why? Because we have a high nutritional content, and then could cause inappropriate and storage conditions. So then we can see here, as you can see, we have mold in the nuts, and then can cause the production of mycotoxins. Also, again, a highlight, because this is also important for you to be aware, the humidity and the temperature are really, really influenced, and also the infestation. Okay, when again, just a willy remark. If we don't have fungi, fungus, we're not going to have mycotoxins. This is the key message for us to take this in consideration when we are in our safety and we are doing our HACCPs in our mitigation steps in our fields. So now I would like to go through the legislation. Why that's important? Because we have markets, we have to understand what's going on globally. Here, I brought some global and also some African and Brazilian, okay, just to give the visibility where we are concerning legislation. So one of the most important ones, because we see that there is one of the big exporters, is the European Union, okay? The European Union, what I got this as that aflatoxin B1 in cashew nuts is 5 microgram per kilo, and the total aflatoxin content, again, the sum between B1, B2, G1, and G2 must not exceed 10 micrograms per kilogram. So this is applied to all 3 nuts, including cashew. So you can see here that we don't have a specific for only cashew, but we can see that is 3 nuts. So when you are looking for a legislation, you can go for 3 nuts, and then cashews is part of this interpretation. Okay, so it's really important when we are exporting to Europe that you consider these numbers, these figures for your product. So another one, maybe some of you are familiar with Codex. Codex is recognized globally. For some of you, maybe you're part of the efforts in your country. So you can see here the codes alimentarios for aflatoxin. You can see here the classification, as I mentioned before, carcinogenic. So here is the sum between all the aflatoxins. And you can see here, I'm going to share later about cashew nuts or tree nuts, but you can also think about peanuts. You can also think about milk. So if you are on these chains, you need or you should take a look on this code of practice for prevention and reduction. This is really, really interesting. There is a lot of really good information. If you're in science, go for it because it's really helpful, okay? So now you can see here all the nuts, so peanut, almonds, Brazil nuts, pistachios, almonds, hazelnuts, and pistachios. What I would like to take this advantage is to show the numbers, okay? One of the difference that you can see is, okay, one is for further processing and one is for ready to eat, okay? So ready to eat, of course, would be lower, but you can have also further in processing. Okay, so take a look. This is, again, its Codex is worldwide recognized, and also this code of practice is really great for you to take a look. And then go deep dive on the cashew nuts. You can see here that ready to eat 3 nuts, its maximum level 10 micrograms per kilo on the total aflatoxin. So this is the number that you should take in consideration if we're following Codex Alimentarius. I also brought a curiosity for Brazilian legislation. Maybe you're curious about that. So this is EN 160. This legislation for mycotoxin is changing frequently in Brazil. I remember when we started the discussion is 2011, when we have the first legislation in Brazil. So for everybody, it was really new. And now we have so many advances on that. So I'm very proud on the effort that we're making in Brazil. And there is a lot going on the mycotoxin space, on the mitigation steps and the prevention for us. And just to share a curiosity, that last year we had a really great partnership between Anvisa, that is our governmental, also with FAO, that we had a group of members coming to Brazil to understand what is the practice that we have for fumonisin in maize, how we are doing, how we are reducing. So they are using Brazil as a benchmark globally how we could reduce the fumonisin in maize in corn. So it's really great, the advance that we are making in food safety space. So now on cashews, of course, it's in Portuguese, okay, but just I put here. So you can see that we're really pre-aligned on the European, and maybe it's the same for Africa. We are using a lot the benchmark between Europe and US to have our own legislation in Brazil. Okay, so just to give you where we are on the aflatoxin, in this case is the total aflatoxin B1, B2, G1, and G2 in Brazil for cashew. And now that's what I was referring to you in the beginning of the presentation, that for me it was a really great learning that I deep dive on, okay, what is this legislation for Africa? First of my knowledge is how many incredible information you have. So, and for me, it was really great to use ChatGPT, guys. I was back to the student days. It was really great to understand, okay, what is now we have. So first I found Nigeria, okay, and of course if you say, hey Renata, this is a different one, help me to improve, okay, so I'm very open to that. So I saw in my research that Nigeria, okay, we have a national agency, and the numbers that I took is 20 micrograms per kilo for B1, 10 microgram per kilo for B1 for ready to eat, and this the 20 for further processing, and then for infant food. So this is what I found for Nigeria. For Ghana, I found that they are using the European Union in Codex, so this is pretty much aligned, and the maximum number is 15 micrograms per kilo for further processing. So this is what I found for Nigeria and Ghana. Also, I found some standards for export. So they are considering the number maximum 5 micrograms per kilo for aflatoxin B1 and 10 micrograms per kilo for total aflatoxins, pretty much the numbers that we found in the European Union. Of course, this is depending of the customer requirements, but just here to give some numbers for you to be aware. And then Kenya, I just went to learn more. So what I'm here bringing to you is, okay, the sampling and the testing, but there is no numbers here. There is no regulatory limits for cashew nuts, okay? But of course, as I said, it was a learning, and the learning is underway, so then we can have different information. A colleague that I'm working with, he works with macadamia in Africa. He mentioned that there is a now a specification is under draft in Kenya, but is not yet implemented. Okay, so this is what I got from a colleague, but he's also from Kenya, and he's producing macadamia there. Okay, so now what I found in the science about aflatoxin. So I saw a study conducted in Nigeria, so you can see here the reference if you want to go more. What surprised me is that during this study, they found a risk of exposure because they did all the toxicological study and assessment, and they found a risk. So, and is that not that old study? So this is important for us to understand that the risk is there, and we have to work to mitigate and to prevent. Another study that I found is that aflatoxin B1 is found in 90%. Yeah, I would like to emphasize 92, it's a lot. And another study that was in Nigeria and South Africa showed a number. So this is less, lower numbers, so 0.03 to 0.77, and this study is a little bit more updated. Okay, again, some figures. Of course, this is is just a part of the what are studied today in the globe. I also took advantage to have a study in Brazil. Okay, this study is not that recent. Okay, so you can see here that is in 2000 14. And the numbers here, you can see that this legislation has changed. But what I would like to bring to your attention that on the total 7 samples analyzed, only 3% showed the contamination above the European numbers. So this is really great. Of course, again, is one study, but just to show for us toxicologists to understand where is the risk, how we can mitigate, and how we can understand. Okay, so again, if you want to go more these studies in this magazine, Food Control, you can take a look. All right, so you can see here the numbers, the figures, and 2 for 4, and then for the concentration of the total aflatoxins. One thing that I would like to share, I don't know how much you are aware, we have, this is European Commission, there is a RASP window. What I did, this is really great for you that are assessing risk globally. You can, of course, here is only for Europe, but helps us to understand where is the risk. So what I did, I went on this website. I will invite you, I encourage you to go on this RASP window to understand on the type of product that you are and try to understand what kind of the risks we have there. What I did, I went there, I selected nuts and nuts products, and from only January 2024 to May 25, and what I found is that we have 404 notifications. Renata, is all about cashew nuts? No. To be very transparent with you, what I found is the majority of these is peanuts. But I would like to call your attention that this number is really big. And of course, again, only Europe. And when I mean Europe, is the borders they are controlling. So what they found there, they are notifying. Okay, so this is when we are import to Europe, so we can be Brazil or we can be Africa, so it's going to be notified by RASP. So this is really great for you to understand and to map where is the risk is. I also did the same for FDA. Okay, so there's a website for recalls, and what I found is just 5. But in that time, what I did, I put cashew nuts, okay? So, and this is the whole history of FDA. So this is really the numbers and the figures that I found about cashew nuts. So now, what I would like to show is, okay, how we can prevent and how we can mitigate. So then we can see that for cashew nuts, we have several activities going on. So in the harvest, we can take some steps. We can have also drying, we can have the storage and the sorting. In the sorting, we can have reduce and mitigate the risks. So again, I would like to call your attention. This is the code of practice for 3 nuts. Remembered when I mentioned previously, this is for codex. This is really this is free. You can download going on the codex or even your Google, you can find. So this is the number. So I really encourage you to take a look on this because you're going to learn a lot. For me, it was a really great exercise to go on this code of practice. So what's the steps that you can see in this document? You can have the planting, pre-harvest, harvest, post-harvest, processing, transport, and storage. You can see here the entire chain to produce 3 nuts, and of course cashew is here. So we can understand what are the actions and practices that we need to take a look in the pre-harvest, also in the harvesting. Okay, what we need to do, if we have proper sanitation, we're going to control mycotoxins growth. Also in post-harvest handling and processing. Okay, so again, this is not everything, but just to keep in mind on the main points. So here you can see I put in a way so that it could be easily for you to take a look and understand, okay, what means prevention? What means reduction? So for the harvest, so if you have the harvest early, you pick the nuts properly, then we avoid the fungal exposure. If we have the dry properly, if we control the moisture and we dry properly around 8%, so then we can prevent the water activity. If we sort, if we remove the moldy and damaged nuts, we can also prevent. If we store smart, use dry, if we control the temperature, if we control the humidity, this is important. Roast when possible. Of course, some products we don't have. Roasting can reduce aflatoxins. We have the monitoring regularly and follow the standards. We have to comply. This is legislation that I brought to you earlier. Then this is the summary. Okay, so we have, again, this is not everything, but I like pictures because for me it's the way that we pay attention. Okay, so aflatoxin, this is again the most challenging ones, the most toxic. So we have the harvesting. So if we harvest ripe cashews and remove soil contamination, if we dry, of course, depends on the specification. You can see 7 to 8, the moisture content. We have the storage in dry, well-ventilated conditions, and the test. Test is another chapter. There is another lecture, right? Because you can see, and just to bring some facts, I've been working with mycotoxins several years, and the most challenge that we have is sampling. Why? We can have a difference between 90%, exactly what you heard, 90, on the difference between one sample to another. So this is really one of the challenges that we have for mycotoxin controls. But again, we have been working very hard. We have developing new techniques to be able to test. So we cannot avoid testing, but we need to take this in consideration for controls in the entire process. So this is end-to-end that we have to mitigate. So final considerations. So just for us to keep in mind, cashew nuts are extremely valuable for agriculture with a moderate risk so of spoilage. You can see that, again, with the climate change, we are increasing the risk globally. We need to take the GAP, Good Agriculture Practice, strictly implemented. So this is the way for us to mitigate. And for the producers and extractivists, we have to take this good agriculture practice in mind. We have also to work with the good manufacturing practices and also with good extractivist practices and storage conditions. You can see the entire process. So then we're going to have during handling, processing, storage, and distribution for nuts for human consumption. So this is the reference if you want to go. So I put just some of them. And again, if you want me to connect, I am on LinkedIn. Okay, so if you can go there, Renata Cerqueira, I will be there. So it would be a pleasure because every time that I connect with people, I learn. So I'm a learner. I think now we have to be a lifelong learner, right? So just send me a message. I will be really good to connect with you, to learn more. So because I always say the world is really small sometimes. And I was talking to a guy, he lives in US and he works for DSM Fermentation, saying, wow, because we're working in a voluntary work in Africa, and say, wow, the world is really, really small. So thanks again. It was a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you very much, Renata. Great presentation. And we have 2 questions, both from Mr. Joseph Honoré Ningetti. So thank you very much, Joseph, for your questions. And okay, Joseph Odomero, he just raised his hand. Do you want to say anything, Joseph, before we go to the questions?
Yeah, no, naturally, thank you for the excellent presentation, Renata. Well done. And I know we're going to questions now, but I just have one question about the implementation of the regulation on the acceptable level of mycotoxin levels for imports and exports. So when it comes to measurement of the mycotoxin, is it done in the country of origin or at the destination? How is that implemented? Is this is it the country that's exporting that has to show what the levels are, or do you get verification at the destination? Thank
No,
you.
this is a really great question, Joseph. This is, I think, the main challenge that we find, because of course the responsibility is in the country of origination. So let's take Brazil as an example. We producers need to assure this legislation. For example, we are exporting to Africa, we need to understand what is the regulations in place and what are the levels, and we need to control the entire chain. And of course, Joseph, what happens is that there is a control in the border, in the destination as well. And then comes all the discussions that we have. If we find a different number in the destination that is different from the origination, then starts the debate. Okay, what happened? It happened during the storage, happened. So this is really challenging. And I mentioned to you, 90% of the sampling could cause, imagine a nightmare. So this is really challenging. We have worked very hard so to work on this, to understand the challenging and the variation. So this is really great question, and it is not easy to control. So then, of course, origination is the responsible, but we need to understand also during the storage, because normally is in the vessels that we export. So how is happening there? What is the temperature? Because you can see that storage is one of the main challenges that we face in humidity. So this is, again, this is really a challenge that we face every day to ship tree nuts. So this is a challenge that we face.
Thank you.
So now the questions from the chat. So the first one is, thank you, Renata, for sharing your knowledge with the African affiliates. And what do you think about the safety of cashew nuts fortification? Can the fortification favors the growth of mycotoxins in cashew nuts?
Well, I'm not so familiar, Kyle, with this fortification, to be honest. So if we talking about the let's say amount that we have on the putting more, so if we're adding more cashew, could be one of the challenges, right? Because it depends on the consumption. But to be honest, I'm not quite sure what's going on. But if you have more cashew, then you can have, of course, mycotoxins development. So that would be one of the main ideas.
And what about if you have some fortification when it comes to nutrients? For example, vitamins
Oh,
and
now I
minerals.
get it. Okay, thanks for
I'm
clarifying.
just assuming that that's the question, but I'm just exploring a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, no, thanks, Kyle, for the clarification. So what we know is not on adding, let's say, another metals. So what we know is that mycotoxins, the correlation is not clear. Okay, if we have, let's say, more probability, what we know for sure is that, and then we can also, I remember cutting about fungus. Remember the fungus is everywhere. Okay, so then you have in the soil, you have in the air. So then we can have that. So this is not, let's say, the correlation between what we fortify, but this is the presence. Again, if we have the fungus, we can have mycotoxins. So the control needs to be on the fungus. So that would be my advice. But again, I'm not aware on these elements that can have more probability if we have, let's say, manganese or mold. So I'm not familiar. So maybe, I don't know, Karin, if you want to, but as far as I'm concerned, there is no correlation.
Yeah, I believe if you have the environmental condition, moisture, temperature, if you have the presence of the mold, the nutrients that already has in the grain, they are enough for the mold grow and therefore the mycotoxin production. So yeah, I agree that the focus should be more in the avoid the molds to be there and to controlling the environmental conditions to not be in the optimal sides of the growth.
Exactly.
And the last question is, how can the end consumer detect mycotoxin in the cashew nuts, or if they can detect it?
Ooh, this really would be wonderful, right? If we have some strips that we can put, because it's always funny, guys, because I love peanuts, okay? And I also love cashew nuts. And for us that we stud, we're always, okay, how we can assure that there is no mycotoxins there. So unfortunately, for the best of my knowledge, there is nothing that we have as consumers. But what we can trust, so this is really important for us to be aware. I don't know how much you know about that, but our regulators, for example, in Anvisa in Brazil, they are regulating. So what I mean by that, so they go to the producers and they have all the controls, what I mean to approve, they start, and then they go to the market, in the supermarket, they take samples, okay, they analyze, so they send to not only in that case Anvisa, but also Minister of Agriculture. They send, they have their own labs, so they go, and then if they find, because they're gonna go for all the elements, and mycotoxin is one of them, if they find something that is, let's say, below the regulatory, so they go and then they open a corrective action. So this is really important. I assume that in Africa would be the same, but again, it's assumption. But I know for Europe is for sure that they go in the supermarkets, so they're really strict on that. So based on that facts, I would say that it would be safe. But there is a really good but. If you go, for example, in some stores that there is no labels, there is no, then we have a problem. So I think I remember 2 years ago, Kai, we have a big problem, but peanuts in Brazil, there are some fraud because it was contaminated and they're trying to sell in the, let's say, market. Okay, so that happens. But if we're using labeled products with labels, and there is a MAPA and a Visa, they are going, I'm talking about Brazil, okay? They are gonna respect and they're evaluating and regulating.
So try to rely always in product that you know that they have been inspected by the agencies.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I know that in Brazil now it's very popular when you go to the store, the natural grain stores, and you can buy in bulk, like a kilo of nuts, and that nuts stay in a huge container, sometimes for weeks and months. So that's a little bit tricky, I understand.
No controls in temperatures, no controls in the humidity. So that would be let's say the best place for the mold to grow, indeed.
And visually, there's no way to detect mycotoxin, only the mold growth, right? If you see the mold, you avoid the product, but you cannot see the mycotoxins. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, if we see the mold, please don't eat. I think that's
Basic microbiology and food safety.
Exactly, don't eat. Oh, of course, you can eat cheese, right, Kari? Cheese, that would be okay, but cashew nuts, don't do that.
Okay, and we have one last question. And how can a cashew nuts producer or retailer know that he or she is providing safe cashew nuts to the markets in order to prevent the growth of mycotoxins?
Yeah, I think what is important is first to understand what is the regulatory limits that you find, because of course, if you are in your own market, in your country, there is limits, as we showed. If not, we have to control the producers, we have to understand all the storage conditions, and we have to test, Kyle. I know that's not easy to test. There is technology. I know Karin that she has a really great story that she went to Africa for implement a lab, right? Because it was a really great opportunity for mycotoxins. So this is the important to prevent, but we need to test. We need to assure that we are producing safe food.
Great. Great discussions. Thanks for the questions in the chat. They really enriched our conversation, our discussion. Thanks everyone who were able to attend. And I would like to reinforce that this webinar is available in the YouTube channel from the Brazilian Association for Food Protection. So please, you can share it if your colleagues and if you're networking. And that's it. I'm looking forward for keep going this collaboration. I think it's the first of a series of webinars and other events that we are going to offer for you guys. Yeah. Thanks everyone.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to add that thank you very much, Keo, and also Renata, for an excellent presentation, the first of many between the Brazilian and the African affiliates, and we're going to be having many of these. And but we appreciate you being our first presenter at our joint Brazilian and African. So food safety is all about collaboration and partnership. As I said, you cannot do food safety in isolation. So we're very happy that the Brazilian Association are joining the African Association affiliates to have this presentation. So thanks for everyone that's able to join. And again, thanks, Renata, for excellent presentation. Thank you very much.
Hi, Mark, please.
Mark has
I just wanted to close and say thank you to everyone, both the Brazilian and the African affiliates for pulling this together. I sat through, it was really good. I haven't done mycotoxin stuff in a long time, but it brings back a lot of memories from early in my career. But thank you. It was a great webinar. Again, with it being on the YouTube channel, please leverage anything that's out there that you can use. But thank you to everyone. Thank you from the board and IAFP itself. So enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we can close the webinar and close the record. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.